Hi, everyone. It's Linda from Be Clear. So happy to spend a little time with you today. And the discussion, I think we should talk about alternative practices. Now, let me say up front, I have always been an experimenter all my life. I've been interested in different health practices and I experimented with a lot of them. I'd go to complementary health conferences and just to learn all about what was going on, the latest and the greatest. However, since my bronchiectasis diagnosis, I would say I've been a little bit more conservative and really, well, backing up a little bit. Initially, I think I went for anything that had the word lung in it, like lung cleanse, lung health, taking this supplement, that supplement, a device before I even understood about sterilizing, putting this in, trying to strengthen my lungs this way or that way. And then at a certain point, a couple of years into having my diagnosis, I think I had a tough love day where I went to my closet in my bathroom where I had all these supplements and gadgets and stuff, and I just looked at each one. I held it, and not that I didn't ask if it brought me joy, but I said, do you really think this is helping you? And I cleared things out, and I was happy to because I didn't feel it made any difference in my health, and I wasn't spending as much money. If anything, I was spending that money that I saved from all the supplements on things like getting more devices so I didn't have to sterilize as often, or I bought a baby bottle steam sterilizer, just other things, the travel nebulizer, my UV water bottle. I mean, there's lots to spend money on, but I feel I can confidently say that once you spend that money, those things do seem to be lasting a long time, and you don't have to continue to spend as much as time goes on. However, there are, certainly yoga, meditation. I do something called the Art of Jinshin. My teacher is Alexis Brink. She runs the Jinshin Institute in New York City. And it's sort of like acupressure and Reiki combined, certain holds that help to move the chi. And I have done this for years, and I do find it very calming and helpful. I think breathing exercises are really good. There's all kinds of breathing exercises. Sometimes you have box breathing where you're breathing, you're inhaling, holding for, let's say, 4. Let me try that again. You're inhaling for 4, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, and then holding for 4. There's these different types of breathing techniques. Personally, the one I like the best is just taking deep breaths and imagining this oval of energy, inhaling up my back with a little bit of a hold, and then exhaling down my front like as if it's a waterfall. I'm a water person, and I like that idea. And then again, pulling the water or pulling the breath up my back. So that's something I often do. I do it for airway clearance, but I just do it when I catch that I'm not breathing very deeply, or if I'm feeling anxious or tired. But there are other practices such as nebulizing different substances. I know when people go to a functional doctor, they're often prescribing a lot of supplements, and additionally, some of them having their patients nebulize all kinds of stuff. Colloidal silver, I've heard of iodine, I've heard of, what else have I heard? Oh, glutathione. So when you're bringing something like that into your lungs, you can be impacting your lung microbiome, maybe in a good way, but maybe in a bad way, because the research now is showing that whether or not certain bacteria that exist in our lungs, because our lungs are not sterile, there are many, many different bacteria, viruses, and fungi, whether some become pathogenic might have to do with the relationship amongst all of these players in your lungs. So when you're nebulizing something like colloidal silver, that can certainly throw that off in some way. However, so with that said, other examples that some people are doing. They're not really alternative therapies, they're alternative practices. Recently in the community, it was recommended by a Facebook group that people turn a pressure cooker into a autoclave. In other words, to put their devices, aerobica pieces and nebulizing cups into that, uh, and sterilize that way. Now I understand we want the highest level of sterilization, but taking a $100 pressure cooker and trying to turn it into a $2,500 autoclave ain't gonna work. Many people might not know that I started my career in health services administration. First job was running an urgent care, running a department of an HMO, and then I ran a multi-specialty medical practice and clinic. We had 5 offices, and I purchased autoclaves, tabletop autoclaves for each of our offices for our metal surgical equipment. Okay, and the medical assistants had to be educated in how, or trained in how to use these devices, because it was very particular. And then we had to have a service person come in periodically to calibrate them, because you don't want them being too hot or too cold or what have you. So that's a practice that I would not suggest. And there are, I'm hearing these things because people reach out to me because they get very confused and they're just anxious, and they're being told other things, such as using a lubricant that is meant for a catheter in their nose to lubricate their nose. I mean, so I'm not, I guess I am being a little judgy here and saying I wouldn't do that, but this is a good way for you, because you are in the driver's seat. It's up to you to decide what you want to do and not do. I don't let anyone influence me. I take it all in, and I tell clients, take it all in. Go to that Facebook group, go to the other Facebook group, do whatever, go on all these other sites, join a support group, listen to what other people are doing, listen to what other people are having to have to say. And then if something interests you, think something might work, I would discuss it with your medical team. If you're doing something that you're afraid to mention to your medical team, oh, I'm using a pressure cooker now to sterilize my plastic devices, do you think that's okay? Or I'm sticking this lubricant up my nose with parabens or whatever, and is that okay? If you're comfortable enough with your decision making that you would mention it to your medical team, then maybe, go ahead and ask them. But if it's something like you're nebulizing colloidal silver and you just know you're not going to get the answer you want to hear, think twice about it. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm almost 70 years old. I am 70. I forgot. I just had a birthday. I'm 70 years old. I have made a lot of decisions in my life. I like to think 80% of them were good and maybe 20% not so good. And I'm sure you too have made a lot of decisions in your life. You don't need to be told what to do, but we're taking in information, and the best way to find out whether something is advisable is to speak to your medical team. Okay, everyone. I said my piece, and that's it. Take care. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Please like my video and be well.